So now we have some time for questions. So there are so many people here now. So please, if it's possible, keep like one question per person. So okay, please.
I have a question that if there is a trend toward new capitalism, how do it affect democratic countries? How?
Oh, sorry. Neo-Marxism.
Neo-Marxism. Sorry. So how might they translate this into a new policy? Does David Harvey talk about this?
You mean what's the relation between neo-Marxism and democracy?
Read the question.
I said the question again. If there is a trend toward to neo-Marxism, how would it affect democratic countries? And how might they translate this into a new policy? Does he talk about this?
Okay, in terms of Harvey's writing, this is related to the right to the city, that he tries to... Okay, the problem is that now we talk about democracies, but those democracies are not... they are just on the paper, okay? They're not in practice, because you have those affluent people who might control even your space, okay? So what he's trying to do is to, let's say, socialize some processes going on, especially in the cities, which are, the most populated areas, and so activation of people, that would be the relation with. But neo-Marxism, that would be the different topic if the Harvey is neo-Marxist or not. He went directly to Marx, so he skipped all of those guys on the way. So let's say he's a Marxist. Okay, my title is neo-Marxist, right? Because he's contemporary thinker. But the relation would be to kind of awake people, to point out some things going on around us, and that we might have influence on it, because it sounds a little like a call for rebel, but it's a many against few, right? And that's how he expressed it once. So there is a huge potential in people. It's just about having awareness of some processes going on. So that would be the relation.
Was there one particular aspect of this that he thought was particularly problematic, like in terms of thinking about a solution? Was there one part of the mechanism of this that he thought was kind of like, if you remove this, it would kind of everything would crumble down, or kind of slow it down, or something like that?
There is, but it's capitalism.
Yeah.
Okay, he said the
rich or educate the poor, or which? Like,
yeah. Yes.
Everything.
He's not about the revolution, but as he said in some interview, that how can we change it, right? He said, okay, through getting organized and having influence on the politics and financial institutions which are behind the politics. That's obvious. But he said, if this doesn't work, we'll stop them on the streets. That's what he said. But as you're asking for this core of the problem, the capital, okay? Endless growth. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. Simply. It's not that he doesn't like it. He said, yes, because many people defending capitalists say that never in human history so many people live in such great conditions, and we have so much achievements, right? But he said it's okay, but capitalism done his job, and now we need to go forward to something else.
Did he believe that until resources are depleted?
Believe in?
Until resources are depleted, it will continue? There's no stopping it until the resources are no longer there?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Like the capital is expanding geographically, but there is no place it can go, Yeah. So that's why we have crises. all the time repeating, because one is here, one is here. It's like circulating. Okay.
More questions? Can you go talk about the growth rate a little bit more? Just expand on what it means to have a 3% growth rate, and like, because I watched a really interesting speech talking about the doubling rate, which I think is 7%. The if the growth rate is 7%, then whatever it is growing at 7% will double in 10 years. So 3% growth rate is about 22 years, something like that. Can you talk about the growth rate and what that means for consumption and?
Okay. If you're saying about 7%, it seems to be even more ridiculous than 3%, right? It is simply impossible because of the development, technologies, and even the population. I mean, simply physically, it's impossible that everyone will generate this growth. If you don't generate it, then you don't make profits, okay? And you're out. You end up you're excluded from the system. So the growth is internal logic of the capitalistic system. You need to do it in order to be in it. But you cannot make it because the shortage of resources and space. So I would conclude like that.
Okay, do you have a timeline in terms of like did he project growth rate? This is I believe this is the end of time.
Yes, he's saying that this is critical time. That is, the crises will happen. Will not happen. They happen all the time. They will be more visible in a bigger scale than before. And he said that in 20 years, if we don't change it, there will be the Earth will be just a horrible place to live, even more than it is now. So he's 70 years old, so he doesn't worry about it. But
so what is his profession? Is he economist or?
Yeah, he's like multidisciplinary. His background, he's got PhD in geography, and then he went to Cambridge and he had the course in reading capital. And it was a famous course. Like Althusser also went there, like 1 year after Harvey. So these courses are like the place of birth for many Neo-Marxist thinkers at that time. And now he works in Baltimore. And what is his? I don't know. He's been always strongly influenced by his geographic training. So, but it's been he's been writing books for the last 40 years. So it's huge area of his interest.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, does Harvey think that capital should be regulated? Does he see a place for the government to regulate capitalism, or does he think that capitalism should be a complete waste of time, or completely destructive?
Okay, what he said that we read too much Hayek, right? Free market, no regulations. If you raise any contradictions, then you will be categorized as you are against free market. The free market explains everything in terms that environmental regulations and also national policies. You see, okay,
so what is the role of government then? What does he see as the role of government?
Okay. There's an example that, let's say, we don't buy products from particular country because of the child labor there, okay? And then if the government will establish such law, then the financial institution will declare that this is against free market, and the government will be forced to change the law. So what is the role of government? Is to be able to stand on the position that can influence financial institutions, be independent from them.
Independent from the financial
Yes.
institutions, right. Right. And how do you achieve that? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you achieve that?
Exactly. He doesn't have any particular solution to it. He doesn't come up with a golden, equation for these problems. But he tried to activate people to have this, power of the group, right? Then they can influence.
One suggestion that's been made is that politicians are in power because of backing by moneyed interests. And one suggestion that's been made is that any amount of money that goes to a politician should be transparent, and the same amount of money should go to all politicians. So the amount of money that's made available should be made available to all.
And be made and equal, right?
Equal, absolutely equal to all. So nobody is beholden to corporations. And it sounds like a good idea to me. That would answer that. So there are solutions.
Think about who has the power to change, and if you look to the government, you think they're the ones that have the power. The people with money have the power, but certainly the numbers have the power too. The population also has potential.
Not if they're so misinformed.
It means educating and eating.
So who pays for the advertising? Who has the money?
So unconscious about our environment.
I'm not disagreeing with you that the money.
Yes, very like. Is it harder to change the mind of the government or to change the mind of the people? It's probably equally.
Well, it requires information. Who pays for the information? That's the question.
Withholds the information.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but as money, it's always about following the money, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But even that can change.
Any more questions?
I have a short question. So, David Harvey now lives in the United States, right? The biggest capitalist country in the world. Let's say. So, how is his acceptance there in the United States? I mean, of course, maybe among the intellectuals, there are some sympathy. But how about the capitalists? How about those who actually give money? He teaches in Baltimore, right? So how about those who give money to Baltimore University for him to teach against them? So,
exactly. Yeah, there was. I counted in one interview. There was something that he said. Like he was invited to give a speech at some place, but actually all this panel was financed by the General Motors. And he said that would be kind of funny to go there and do this Marxist analysis of capital, right? So how he's functioning
he's
there?
a pure critic, like Harvey.
I encountered some critics, but he is criticized by being deterministic, which every Marxist, might be included in this. That is his perspective, his Marxist perspective. And we need to remember this. He takes one glasses, okay, and he tried to make his own sense of it, reading the sources. But how is he functioning in the States? In the States, there's a situation if you just it doesn't matter even what you're talking about. It's what language you're using. If you come up with vocabulary such capital class, proletariat, and all these things, then you are labeled as a communist, okay? And the discussion is over. Okay, that's how it works in mass media. So, but he's too big to be ignored. He's too big intellectual and with a huge amount of writing. And what is also interesting that why he's different from other Marxist thinkers, that he was writing also about postmodernity and his condition of postmodernity from 1989. This is a great book on how postmodernity is a part of is a logical consequences of the late capitalism. So he's also writing on that. So I want to go back to he's explaining about the differences between the Fordist accumulation and a flexible accumulation. And very shortly is that the Fordist accumulation is you have established factories and everything is kind of stable. But then in 70s there were so many crises that then they changed it. The new markets appeared, the Asiatic countries and Europe, and Eastern Europe especially, slowly were pushing Americans in terms of competitiveness. So they try to develop some ways to get more profits, so they move factories to Asia and other places, and trying to have little units of production. Everything became more fluent, and as he's saying, it is reflected in the postmodernity, which is also about surface, about compilation of different elements, okay, without any particular huge paradigm. Okay, it's a different topic, but he's also, as you asked me, what is his this discipline?
That's really Marxist. That's really. Okay.
We have like 5 minutes more for question discussion.
Is he I mean, in terms of his thinking today, is he evolving with that? Is he reflecting on the environment today and maybe some major issues around the world?
Yes, his latest books are on contemporary events, also from the standpoint of being Marxist. Those things, what I try to discuss today, are from 70s, 80s, 90s, okay? And when he became interested in compilation of geography and Marxist. And recent books are about the critics of neoliberalism, and well, he perceived the war as also way to get rid of surplus of capital, right? You spend those what you have too much. You invest. The war is a huge business, right? It's a great business. So that's how he was analyzing the current events.
In terms of his impact, I just saw like the YouTube before I came in. Has he got like some groups like Right to the City where he's organising different groups to try and get some control back? Is that worldwide, and how is that going?
I don't know. Actually, I wanted to ask on the beginning, like, how many of us here heard about Harvey before? Because I have feeling that he's not extremely popular person, but he's also not sitting in his basement, and writing books.
Yeah.
He's been around. But of course, his discipline is sort of, you have interest. What is his influence?
Yeah, I think he's doing quite a lot, but that's why I'm saying, like in New York, I know he's like getting different groups together, and he's trying to sort of make an impact with getting some more decision making to just local people.
Yeah.
And he wants to make that worldwide. I think, and I think it is happening. Well, I'd be interested to follow how that goes.
There's a great that he tries to, combine this theory with a very, very active politic actions. Okay, active actions, politic campaign, or activating people, educating them that they can unite and change something. Yeah.
He says you have to become active. You must.
Yeah. Right? This is a crucial point. You cannot stay behind it. You need to get involved.
What about this city?
What about this?
What about this city?
This city?
What do you know about this city?
Okay. Renai district, right? It's been exactly, it's been created to attract the foreign capital. Taipei 101. This is exactly, every city with the aspirations to join this global network of cities needs to have a high skyscraper, just to be recognized. And that was the goal of establishing it. And the Renai district was started in late 90s, right? Shini, of course.
I knew you were talking about.
Yeah, it's Shini district. It's sort of gentrification, because you have people that are living there before, but the prices goes up, and how they can keep up with this, right? It's exactly the same process.
Okay, maybe the last question.
Anybody else have a question?
I guess I will. So I don't agree that financial institutions try to push their goals through policy and politics, but on the one hand you're suggesting that, and again I can disagree, but that they're trying to create this system of debt so that people don't have the ability to increase costs for corporations and create instability. And on the other hand, with the American dream, they have this idea of consumerism. But you have to think these financial institutions are rather intelligent if they're going to be powerful enough to do that. And those two don't really seem reconcilable. I mean, when people become really in debt, they stop consuming as much. They stop spending. So how do you explain that?
Mm-hmm. You mean if you have debts, you don't consume anymore, right? Because you know that you own so much money to the bank, right? That you. I'm not sure if this is true really. If having a debt, this is it's a normal state, okay? You live with knowing that you have debts, and that it's okay. I mean, you see, this is sort of more psychological tension, you know, that in some places having debt, this is burden on your mental life, okay? You feel uncomfortable, but then in the States having debt, you know, it's normal. Everyone has it, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't stop consumption. I wouldn't see that it. You can, you know, you have all those little banks that they can give you another credit, right? And then that's how crisis starts, as he said. The little banks, you know, were asked by the big banks to get money back, so they asked people to get money back, and then nobody had money, and that's how it started. So the consumption runs despite that.
Okay, I think our time is up. Yeah, so let's say thank you to Michal.